Hey there, this is Danavan Hylton wishing you a prosperous day. And of course, getting the work done, helping the government, Malika, obviously in the background, never in the background, always in the forefront, helping with the administrative work, the operations as I'm out developing new business and maintaining relationships. But as we are in the business of connecting, building and managing relationships between and within the government, business and community sectors, just had was inspired to do this quick message. Not a big deal. Everything I speak on is based on either experience or knowledge based upon studying. And the funny part about it is when you're studying, in my case, when you're studying and gaining more knowledge, I actually, through a course of time, gain wisdom and experience, gain wisdom and understanding based upon experience. So for some reason, I find myself when I'm studying something, and I bring it in, I can conceive it. For some reason, it's achieved through belief and actions based upon actually studying it and then actually some point going through that motion. And so when I speak on something, 9 times out of 10, I'm speaking on something based upon experience or new information. Rarely do I speak on new information I just studied, but I get inspired to speak on things because I've studied it and then gone through the process some kind of way to where I feel like it's a message that has to be told. And so in this particular case, not a big deal, to some it may be, but I want to talk to you about cost of living. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of my messages recently have been on urban core development, has been on real estate, has been on economic growth based upon employers moving into municipalities that are in central locations within the state, but also pretty much central locations within the state. And so in this particular case, coming from Southern California, San Bernardino County, which was actually a city, with all due respect, which I love and respect, that actually filed bankruptcy. And I was too young, I was 21 at the time, to really feel the effects of what a bankrupt city can offer or what a bankrupt city provides. But I did feel it enough to where jobs weren't there and you were almost to a point where you had to use your skill sets and your entrepreneurship mind and will to pretty much survive and make an income. So here I am in Middle Tennessee and living in this great state of Tennessee, commerce and agriculture. I believe I think it's won the Economic Development Award as a state like 4 years in a row. I'll see if I can find that link as to where it was at. And there's a lot of reasons why, to include tax benefits for businesses. But the point is, especially speaking of Nashville, when these businesses relocate or expand to Nashville, 9 times out of 10, they are bringing in, and this is again, I mean, look at some of our past videos, according to HUD, there are some geographical territories within various regions of the United States where they're looking to revitalize or make sure that there is economic growth for particular reasons. And so in this particular, I think it's like 18 major to mid-major cities across the United States where there is particular private and public focus as far as the sector for that economic growth. And so, I believe economic growth is just taking an area that's already sustainable to whatever degree and actually putting more attention on it to where it actually is growing compared to economic development. I could be speaking out of ignorance in this term, so you need to talk to an economist for that information. But where am I going with this? At the end of the day, as municipalities grow, based upon employers moving in, offering, middle class to high class income as far as jobs, what happens is it puts a strain on not only housing, affordable housing, but also puts a strain on your, with all due respect, lower wage, lower income residents. What do we mean by that? Well, as the cost of living goes up and residents, for whatever reason, are not receiving an increase in their income, it makes it challenging for that resident to stay in that area as far as the place to reside, simply because there's someone else with more money that wants to take advantage of a lower income community, take advantage of buying the land and or property, fixing it up, and they can keep more money in their pocket as they're continuing to make mid to high 5-figure salaries or low 6-figure salaries. It's only economic sense, for you to move into somewhere where you can fix it up, and then obviously you bought it at a lower price, and as the property value grows, most businesses are started because someone took a mortgage out or a loan or a lien or whatever you want to call it, took a loan out on their house to start the business, or they actually sold their house, made some nice money, bought a new house, and used the remaining money to start their business. That's very common. I think there's a link, or there's an article, I'll see if I can find it, as to where home ownership in the African American community is so low as to why a lot of businesses have not been started, because a lot of people take their property, take a loan out or sell their property, and they take that money and start a business. And obviously if African Americans are not owning property, how can you take that money to start a business? That's neither here nor there. I'm just giving you a perspective. And so as the cost of living goes up, and I'm dealing with everyday people, it's very, very imperative, and indirectly I'm talking to the private sector and the public sector, even our local, state, and federal government, even business owners. Easier said than done. Capitalism is all about making a profit, I get it. But as someone that is working to become a senior advisor for the private sector, world leaders, and multinational corporations, if you will, simply because I want to help with the public relations, and I want to help give a better perspective to those that are in those positions of influence, to be able to see things from a different perspective, from a grassroots level, from the everyday individual. Because we've got to understand that it's the everyday individual that's working, that's putting our more influential, higher income individuals in a position of financial success. So if we're not focused as a private sector, public sector leader that's doing well for themselves, if we're not focusing on creating solutions for the everyday individual that's pulling the boat, eventually their problems will become your problems. What do we mean by that? Well, one of the things we don't want to see is having local residents being priced out of where they live, or the cost of living go up so high that they have to relocate. Because what happens is when they relocate and they want to find somewhere close to where they're moving from, what happens is it's kind of a domino effect where they're being displaced by choice or by force. So they find the next closest city that's affordable, and the people that were living at that next closest city, if they don't have their money up, get displaced and go to the next closest city. And it literally becomes a migration, if you will, of a whole geographical territory. And that could be a region of the United States, or a region of a state, if you will. And so I'm just giving a message to the great friends of mine that are business owners and government leaders to be mindful that the great economic growth that is being felt in this country is great and is booming, but at the same time, we have to be aware and conscious and humble and compassionate for the everyday individual. $9, $7 an hour, $13 an hour is not going to cut it. $15 an hour these days is not going to cut it. Now, the question is, can those that are making large profit be willing to decrease their profit to give more money back to the everyday worker? Because what that does is it gives hope, confidence to people that are working the same amount of hours, usually 40 hours, as the next person. But their 40 hours is $7, their 40 hours is $10, while someone else's 40 hours is $40 or $30. There's a big difference. You can't say they're not working. It's just the amount of money they're receiving each hour. Now, what I'm saying is you would have to, especially if you are receiving lower income hourly, you have to focus on what you like to do, what you're good at, what people need, and what people are willing to pay you for. Because you should not wake up and have to work a particular occupation if you personally don't like it. Because then at the end of the day, there was some point in your life where you put yourself in a position that put you in this position that now you have to do it because you're surviving. So one of the things that I would like to do, if you're a young adult, first of all, if you're a young adult, start finding entrepreneurial ways to make money. If it's selling lemonade, picking up trash, cutting grass, sweeping in front of businesses, find ways to make money and start thinking outside the box. Second of all, if you're a young adult, start working at these retail fast food jobs and these various places where there is low income, it's lower salary. But the beautiful thing is, one, while you're working there, you can make money at a young age. Make money for one, but then two, at 15, 16, you're able to, 17, you're able to get work experience under your belt. So that way, by the time that you are at an age where you have to work, because we live in a capitalistic society, by the time you get to an age you have to work, you can put yourself in a position where you have some work skills and some work experience. And then at the same time, while you're doing those things, you want to look at industries that are growing. And for example, we'll use manufacturing. The industry now is called advanced manufacturing. Why? Because that's a huge, I love the industrial sector, the industrial industry, because I feel you don't really need a degree to make $60,000 and up. And more importantly, you can take those skills and start your own consulting business, start your own contracting business. So if you are in advanced manufacturing, now I always say, again, when you go to these warehouses, you think of a dusty big warehouse where everybody's working hard and all this stuff. You're still working hard, but now with advanced manufacturing, you're using technology to be able to do what the human being was once doing, moving boxes. And now you have to be skilled at machinery, machine operating, things of those natures, compared to now you actually physically doing the work. But the thing about it is, as you become a skilled machine operator, whatever machine that is, excuse me, that's a skill, because now you're using this specialized equipment to get this job done, to increase productivity. And what that does is it increases your income, because these machine operating positions and things of the like are now, $20, $30 an hour. And so, especially for young folks, I just don't want to see people be put in a position where with all due respect, and again, everybody's story is different. So I'm not saying because you're not here, it's your fault. There are a lot of challenges that we experience in various communities and with various ethnicities that are both designed and unintentional. So I'm not speaking on because you're not here, it's your fault, nothing of that nature. We're all surviving. And if you know my story, grace goes for a lot, as well as faith, as well as actions and works. They all have to simultaneously go while you're going through your life. And that comes from humility. That comes from appreciation. What do you mean by that? Well, Danavan, what I'm saying is, if you recognize, for one, if you live in the United States, and it's not perfect, but at the same time, there are geographical territories in this world where you have no say-so. You have no opportunity to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. And so if you are in a situation where you're born in this class and with a little bit of skills, knowledge, hard work, experience, you can finish in this class, to include by passing away, having life insurance to give to your children. First of all, again, you can work as hard as you want, but if you have life insurance and Lord, something happens to where you lose your life insurance is there to make sure that you can pay not only for your funeral, but also give money to the next generation. So a lot of wealthy people have life insurance where when people pass away, they receive a lot of money to where it's like, I don't even have to work in the first place, but they're still working. And I heard to a point where people say, well, life insurance is pretty much accepting the fact that you're going to pass away, and some negative connotations to that. Life insurance, you accept the fact that you're going to pass away, and you're kind of like just living to die. I get that. But at the same time, the real situation is, especially in the African diaspora community, we have to have finances at this particular point in time in order to not only survive, but thrive. And so I really challenge, my message is to challenge the private sector leaders that are influential, living the good life, living their best life, as well as government leaders. Because one thing about government leaders, after a particular number of terms, if you're a government leader, you get free health insurance, or you get little to no cost on your health insurance. So that alone is putting you in a position where you're already saving money. So sometimes there's a disconnect to where you don't think about the everyday, average, hardworking individual. So I'm challenging, as I look to become an advisor to these individuals and these organizations or agencies and corporations, to think as if you are in a position of the everyday working individual. Because when you do that every day and you're making your decisions, you're going to receive longevity in your business. You're going to receive longevity in your brand. You're going to get longer, more solid, loyal customer base, and your presence in the community will remain strong. And the thing about human beings is, no matter what we say or do, we can feel if your work and your actions are integral and with good joy. We can feel it, that's why some people say you're full of poop, because it's like what you're saying out your mouth is not what's coming off you. A lot of stuff, when we come to, then you're getting into, you're getting things to like, now you get into human development and other things, other conversations, magnetics and stuff like that we won't get into. But ultimately, again, I'm challenging the public and private sector to think about the everyday individual. And everyday individual, I'm challenging you to focus on what you're good at, what you like to do, what people need, what people want to pay you for. Because if you find out what people need, then you can start studying those things, getting skills through actually gaining experience, and then you can put yourself in a better position to be able to provide for yourself and your family. This is Danavan Hylton, your current CEO of Hylton Elite Marketing Agency, your full-service sales and marketing firm based in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the business of transforming low-income communities by helping the public and private sector increase their customer base and increase their presence in the community. We help employers find local residents for jobs. We help real estate developers connect to community residents and community leaders to have an engaging conversation about development, hopefully receive community buy-in. We help local businesses and businesses overseas that are looking to connect to a new territory in Tennessee, bring more traffic into their office. And as of late, we were helping the African diaspora countries connect to the state of Tennessee to increase their GDP, mostly through seasonal workforce programs and foreign direct investments. www.e1connect.com. If you feel this message was of value to you in any way, I thank you for clicking the Cash App link and donating what you felt this message was worth. Malik and I, as you can see, are working hard, self-sustaining business. If you know our story, we pretty much came to the state of Tennessee with nothing and been able to build a life based upon, again, of course, faith, works, and grace. But what we like to do, what people need, what we're good at, and what was it? What was my fourth thing I forgot? What we like to do, what people need, what we're good at, and what people want to pay you for. Sorry. Any rate, thank you so much. Let's be patient with one another. Let's continue to have open, integral conversations in a professional manner, and let's do all we can to make this system, this world, a better place for the next generation, because it's up to us to work every day to put the next generations and the generations after us in an easier position. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. See you at the top. Peace.